Minchin is the award-winning composer and lyricist behind the smash hit show Matilda the Musical. But he's also a multi-talented satirist, songwriter and entertainer, filling arenas with his musical comedy, imbued with clever wordplay, wit and irreverence. Minchin isn't afraid to provoke controversy either, aiming his satire at anything from religious bigotry to childhood obesity and sexual inadequacy.
Your love for me is not debatable. Your sexual appetite's insatiable. You never ever make me waitable. Delectable, inflatable you.
In this South Bank show, we follow Minchin to the Australia of his childhood and to London's Theatreland to explore what drives this most eclectic of performers, who's as comfortable in the world of musical theatre as he is fronting his rock band.
He doesn't have a problem with drugs. He just doesn't get them. He's fine that his mates have tattoos, but he thinks they'll regret them. He likes going to pubs, but he hates it when the music's too loud. He tends not to go to rock concerts, 'cause he can't stand the massive queues in the freezing cold crowd. But all he's ever wanted to be is a rock star on MTV. But he knows that it's not fucking likely. He's in his late 30s. He knows that he will always be a rock and roll nerd. He'll keep writing songs the world will never hear, and though they won't be heard, he'll just keep writing. Oh yeah.
The man you're writing about in Rock and Roll Nerd, how would you describe him?
The difference between him and me is he's very aspirational. He wants to be a rock star pretty badly. There's a little bit of fiction in that. I was sort of always, as I still am, a bit scattergun about what I wanted to do. There's a whole lot of stuff that sort of resonates still. The confession that I don't feel like I have enough raw material to create great art, and that still concerns me. That there's a correlation between pain and suffering and good output.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I guess just the idea that somehow suffering augments expression is pretty pervasive in art, I think.
So he sits and imagines his girlfriend is dead to try and evoke some angst in his middle-class head. But the bitch is always fine at 9:30 when they go to bed.
I always felt like, who cares what I feel, because I'm one of the lucky ones. And I think that's true to an extent, and an explanation of why I write satirically and a little bit cerebrally and about ideas, which is the right place for someone like me. If I try and write a song about, growing up in the ghetto, it's not going to resonate with a huge amount of authenticity.
One thing that's fascinating about your work and your art is you combine certain strands together that I don't think have been combined before with this kind of energy. Did you work that out, or did it arrive?
It very much arrived.
Oh, this show's about me, baby. Oh, this show's about me. Don't you know it? Oh, I'm singing the tunes this time. Oh, this show's about you. You know who.
I wasn't thinking of myself as a comedian at that stage. That took a couple of years before I went, maybe if I call this comedy, other people will believe me.
You have a very good conspiracy with the audience. You're, as it were, listening to them, but I don't know whether you are really listening to them. You're teasing them along, but it isn't really a tease, but you're taking a lot of notice of them.
Just to point it out, because there's a lot going on, and I understand that, but trying to replace trying to replace my fondues with fondants is one of the better puns ever written about cheese. And I just want you to be aware to sort of turn your pun brain on, because there's some serious shit coming up as well. I cannot camembert it anymore. Damn you, mon amour.
There's something that happens on stage that makes you incredibly effective. Sports people talk about in a big match how enhanced they feel. You're super you on stage if you're wired like one of us.
So a different species. I'm speaking to a person from a different planet.
Maybe we're aliens. There is something that feeds back into this idea of narcissism. Here I am, I'm cool. I'm a superhero, and you walk off, shuffle off, have your red wine and go home, cry yourself to sleep and masturbate.
You don't have problems with your weight at all. You never steal food off my plate at all. I never have to masturbate at all. Unstoppable, inflatable you. You never seem to menstruate at all. So you're not angry when I'm late at all. I feel permanently fellatable, unpoppable, inflatable you.
I don't know why I'm a rhyme fetishist. I went to St Gilbert and Sullivan as a kid, and I guess my granddad gave me a copy of Ogden Nash, and I had a Spike Milligan book in my bookshelf, and I mean, these are all the things, but I don't know.
It's interesting, isn't it, how it works through?
It would be completely naive of me to say I'm not heavily influenced by others, but I'm not consciously influenced by people.
In our modern free-spoken society, there is a word that we still hold taboo. A word with a terrible history of being used to abuse, oppress and subdue.
I'm really interested in language taboos and in saying things that I think we all think or experience, but that because of social structures we don't sort of talk about. The biggest language taboo in this country and in America probably is the N-word, but fundamentally, just like the rock and roll nerd can't talk about the ghetto, I'm not the person to talk about the N-word. It's not my conversation to have, in a way. That's something I realised. And out of that realisation came this idea, well, how can I talk about this idea that some words are powerful and they are just words, but the fact is they have this history and this baggage and they have done this damage and they continue to do damage, and so that the only people who are really allowed to discuss those words are the people to whom the damage has been done.
A couple of G's, an R and an E, an I and an N. Just 6 little letters all jumbled together have caused damage that we may never mend.
And it was probably the only eureka moment of my entire songwriting career. It was one of those moments where I just sort of went, no. Oh, yes, like that.
Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger. Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger. So listen to me if you care for your health. You won't call me ginger, let's ginger yourself. Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger.
When I first started playing that, and everyone would be going, he's not going to talk about this, and I'd set it up really clearly so people's brains went the opposite direction.
So if you call us ginger, you can't whinge if you're injured. If you don't have a tinge, the ginger in your minge. Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger. And you know my kids will always be clothed and fed, cause Papa's gonna be bringing home the gingerbread. And they'll be pretty smart because they'll be well read. And by red I mean red, and the the ninja. My name is Tim. I write funny songs and sing. And if you don't think funny songs are funny, well, I respect your right to think exactly what you like, but you sure as shit not getting back your money.
I had spent a year playing in a little cabaret bar in Melbourne, you know, where I had eventually kicked my shoes off and started wearing a bit of eyeliner, and then I booked a spot in the Melbourne Comedy Festival in early 2005.
I'm kind of poor in that way that some of you sort of student types or fellow comedians might relate to. It's the kind of poverty that's best defined by the fact you get yourself in situations where you have to choose between seemingly unrelated things. Like last weekend, my wife and I got in this huge debate late on a Saturday morning because we had to choose between bacon and a DVD.
Over the month of Melbourne Comedy Festival, I was sort of one of the people that people were talking about. On the second last night, Karen Corrin from the Gilded Balloon in Edinburgh came and immediately kind of leapt.
I hadn't realised reading for this interview that Edinburgh was such a door opener, was such a key for you.
I got out of it exactly what the ideal is, but it's a 1 in a million. People going, that's a product, that's a finished thing. There's a person, he's got funny hair, he's got bare feet, he's got makeup, he's got these songs, here's a DVD deal, we'll tour you, I'll be your agent, come to England. And I sort of went, oh, I'll talk to my wife. And I went home, I went, we should go to England. And she said, can I quit my job? And I think so.
This is a song called Understand It.
I could hardly afford to get to my gigs in my car, let alone hop on a plane.
If you say nothing, offer nothing, then you get nothing in return. This is the way I understand it. This is the way I understand.
Tim Minchin grew up in a comfortable middle-class district of Perth in Western Australia.
I'm one of 4 kids and none of us really broke out and defied anybody. We all just got on with our thing. I never skipped a class. I never didn't hand in an essay, even if it was at the last minute. I never took drugs.
This is the way I understand it. This is the way I understand it. This is the way I understand it works.
We were all very straight, but my mum's mum, she's quite mad and would drive her Volvo around going, get out of the fucking way. And, you know, we've all got these eccentricities, and my dad's mum, she's really mad. So there's always there's this stuff. And so although my upbringing was conservative, my intellectual non-conservatism is actually not an anomaly. I'm not fruit that's fallen far from the tree. It's just I figured out how to play piano and, you know, grew my hair long and started wearing makeup, and suddenly I'm physically a bit far away from being a surgeon in Perth.
This is the way I understand it. This is the way I understand it. This is the way I understand it works.
And there was Dan, he used to have hair and everything. Wasn't he handsome?
We all learned instruments when we were young. I don't remember ever really playing much together when we were really young. But, yeah, that's because I walked into a glass door the other night and bent my glasses. So
he bent his head. His glasses are straight.
Yeah.
So Dan's always been the music fan, and it sort of feed me stuff.
Consumer.
Most of the songs I know now, it'll be something Dan introduced me to. Basically, you used to write the songs, and then I started doing lyrics, and you doing music, and you were playing guitar.
We just used to have the same band name conversation every band ever has had, which is it starts serious, it's serious for about 25 seconds, and then it just turns into ridiculous.
What about
flaming,
a shelf full of squirrels?
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think we called ourselves Cyclone Jones.
Cyclone Jones. And then when it got more original, that band was called Arnold.
No, that was Moon Unit.
No, that was Moon Unit. The next project was Timmy the Dog.
Yeah.
And that was the one where we made a quite okay record eventually. It had My Heart Belongs to an 18-year-old Lesbian on it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a swing tune.
I never had sex inside a church.
I never had sex inside a church, but I love the thought of nuns in G-strings.
I never had sex inside a church. Sundays. Never gave me.
In the late 90s, Tim Minchin went to university and then music college, both in Perth. Prior to this, he spent 11 years at Christ Church Grammar, the city's most prestigious private school.
I did everything a bit late. I wasn't the kid who got cast in the school plays particularly. And I think it was my second year out of school. I got a letter from Jenny Davis, who's a theatre maker and actress in Perth.
It was 1994 when I first met Tim, and I was directing a production of Love's Labour's Lost at Midnight Youth Theatre, which is an extension of Christ Church Grammar School. The minute he walked in the door, you could tell there was something special about him.
I did this show, my brother played guitar, I played the piano, and these kids singing these songs I'd written to the words of Shakespearean sonnets and contemporary, John Donne. I love this space. I'd forgotten how perfect it is. You wrote me a letter.
Did I?
Yeah.
What should I say?
I've still got it. I'll find it. Dear Tim, I'm doing a production of Love's Labour's Lost for Midnight Youth Theatre Company using the musicalised version, but we want to get rid of the music. Would you write some music for us? We have $500. Love, Jenny Davis. And that's the letter I showed to my mum, and that's that famous in my family story of mum going, but does she know you can't write music?
Oh, really?
And then the next year I rewrote the songs for Breck's Mother Courage, and, on it went. And sort of somewhere in there, after I'd written half a dozen scores, I thought, maybe I can do music.
So when you were in Perth, there was an association already with Jesus Christ Superstar.
I did this local version of Jesus Christ Superstar at this natural amphitheatre in Perth. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I auditioned and the musical director said, "Oh, you're great, but we've already cast Jesus and Judas, so you can understudy them and play Pilate." So that's what I did. I played Pilate in this outdoor version of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Awesome, isn't it? At some point in my early 20s, I think I conflated my love of the show with my frustration of not having ever got to do the big roles, and I just never really shook it off. So I've always loved it and I've always wanted to do it.
15 years later, Tim finally achieved his ambition by playing Judas in a major arena tour of Superstar.
My mind is clearer now. At last, all too well, I can see where we all soon will be. If you strip away the myth from the man, you will see where we all soon will be.
Singing that role for whatever reasons was always an ambition. The dramatic arc of it is so seductive to someone who likes acting. And I've always been tempted by that, but incredibly worried about the vocal thing. And so when I got the role of Judas, I went to a friend of mine who's an opera singer, and she gave me sort of 4 or 5 lessons.
You sad, pathetic man, look what you brought us to. Our ideals die around us, and all because of you. And you're the saddest kind of all. Someone had to turn you in, like a common criminal, like a wounded animal.
Not liking your voice is a very difficult thing for a singer, and most singers have it, I think. Having this uncomfortable relationship with the thing that you need. And it was sort of a coming of age for me. It was amazing. That's not a very good way to describe it. I just basically don't hate my voice anymore. And that's huge for me.
Yeah.
I still don't like it, but I don't hate it.
Every time I look at you, I don't understand why you let the things you did get so out of hand. You'd have managed better if you'd had a plan. Why I will be tall enough to reach the branches that you have to reach to climb the trees you get to climb when you're grown up. When I grow up, I will be smart enough to answer all the questions that you need to know the answers to when you're a grown up. When I grow up, I will eat sweets every day on the way to work, and I will go to bed late every night. And I will wake up when the sun comes up, and I will watch cartoons until my eyes go square. And I won't care, 'cause I'll be all grown up when I grow up.
In October 2011, the RSC's Matilda the Musical opened at the Cambridge Theatre, London, on the back of a hugely successful run in Stratford. It went on to win an unprecedented 7 Olivier Awards. For Tim Minchin, who wrote the music and lyrics, it was the climax of a much longer relationship with Roald Dahl's book. When you were a younger man, you wrote to the Roald Dahl estate, was it, to say, could you do Matilda as a musical?
The Dahls, to their credit, whoever it was at the time, went, well, the rights are not tied up at the moment, and we're very interested. So, you know, if you could send us a score, a sample of what you've written. And I sort of went, wait, hold on, I just mean I'm going to stick it on in the local hall with a bunch of kids. So it was weird, because the RSC had the rights for 7 years before I came along.
I invited him for a meeting, and we had this meeting, and he said, what am I said, you know what you're here for? He said, no, is it Royal Shakespeare Company, a Shakespeare play or something?
And he sort of said, have you ever heard of Roald Dahl's Matilda? And I went, yeah. And he went, well, the RSC have the rights to write the musical, and we sort of wonder if you'd have any interest in that sort of thing. And I went, blah, 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 blah. This is what you... And if you do this with Dahl, you're idiots, because they'll ruin it. And I walked away and went, oh, I wonder if I just blew my chances.
The first thing to say probably is that Tim knows a hell of a lot about musicals. His background really is as a performer, as an actor, and somebody who was sort of marinated in musical theatre.
I certainly felt ill-equipped in many ways, simply because it's the West End and it's the RSC. Surely they could ask anyone. Why would they ask me? And, you know, it's like my mum when Jenny Davis asked me to write songs in 1993, but you can't really write music. And Sarah, my wife, is the same sort of lack of romance about my writing. She went, but why don't they get someone proper to do it? And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Matilda is the tale of a precocious little girl growing up in a world of unreliable and devious adults. The story follows Matilda from an unhappy home with her neglectful parents to the sanctuary of the local library and then to school. It's here that she encounters the grotesque and sadistic headmistress, Miss Trunchbull. But she also charms another teacher, the gentle Miss Honey, who falls for Matilda's storytelling and her love of mischief.
Went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. So they say their subsequent fall was inevitable. They never stood a chance, they were written that way. Sometimes you have to be a little bit naughty.
I had to do something which is counterintuitive to a playwright, which is to just leave massive lumps missing out of the story so that the songs could do that work. He was coming with a big bunch of new ideas, and so at first it takes you a little while to get used to that, but once you realise they're good ideas, it doesn't make a difference, you know, you sort of just go with it. I think for the first year it's possible that we weren't moving in the same direction.
And he and I used to just go, blah, 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 really, but Dennis, you're not listening to me. And he's like, no, you can't change that, because we'd be having these discussions and Matthew would just sit there like that, and 20 minutes later he'd go, well, I think we'll do that. Right, next thing, you know, like, it was like this arbiter.
They've got a very important, crucial amount of creative ego, Dennis and Tim, as no doubt they'd say the same about me. enough to make you really protective of your own values and of your own area of expertise.
There are rules in musicals that we paid no attention to whatsoever, and the moment anyone told us a rule about musicals, we just put our fingers in our ears and didn't listen.
I do think if I had tried to write Matilda before I had kids myself, it might not have been as easy. I wrote my first draft up against the birth of my second child, my son. So your brain's in that world of being in love with someone entirely innocent and seeing hope and stuff unsullied by experience. Having said that, Matilda is not, the things the kids sing are not necessarily kids' things to say.
There's almost a complete inversion, isn't there? The kids are saying the grown-up things and grown-ups are behaving like kids.
Yeah, the grown-ups are sort of grotesque fools and the kids have wisdom. You're obviously exploiting a bit of out of the mouths of babesness in that you try and put words in those kids' mouths that are not exactly what they would say, but it's an expression of how they feel in terms that allow a sort of poetry that adults can access.
The notion of expressing your views and at the same time making songs and fun of it is all across your work. I mean, Canvas Bag's another bit of musical comedy preaching, isn't it?
Yeah.
Take your canvas bags when you go to the supermarket. Why use plastic ones when you know the world can't take it. Take your canvas bags when you go to the supermarket.
The thing with canvas bags is it's half an actual plea for people to not use plastic bags, and it works as that because it's so repetitious. But it's also half mocking artists and celebrities, you know, with their causes sort of changing the world by putting their arms around people and swaying. And it sort of does both things at the same time, and I won't be drawn on which one I'm actually doing.
Take your canvas bags, take your canvas bags. Take your canvas bags to the supermarket. Take your canvas bags, take your canvas bags. Take your canvas bags to the supermarket.
I've got songs that are just songs about cheese and songs that are just songs about inflatable dolls. And I try to get that balance right. But I'm very, very interested in satire. It's sort of self-important, isn't it, to sort of say, I have something to say about this, but I don't suppose I thought I deserved a platform to say these things. It's just that I slowly acquired one. And once you acquire a platform, once you have a bunch of people in front of you, you have to make a choice of what sort of artist you're going to be. And I sort of thought, well, you know, I'm going to make sure I use my anger and use my areas of interest to try and fill this 100 minutes I have to fill for these ticket-buying people. And I think, Canvas Bags was a very early one, and I never even really decided for myself where it sits
Well, it's very funny where it becomes a complete sort of massive rock act.
It becomes a stupid rock anthem.
Take your camels, Bill. Take your camels, Bill. Yeah, clap, you bastards. Yes, sing along. If you figured out the words, take the canvas, sing along. Woo! Blackout, pyros, fuck yeah. Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, he's a fucking mother. Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucker, he's a total motherfucker. Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the mother, fuck the motherfucker, fucking fuck the mother. Fuck the motherfucker, fuck the motherfucking Pope. Yeah.
You referred very early on about being, as it were, too middle class to have serious angst.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, there's serious rage, which is full of energy and very powerfully put and specifically directed. I'm thinking of the Pope's song.
Fuck the motherfucker and fuck you motherfucker if you think that motherfucker is sacred. If you cover for another motherfucker who's a kitty fucker, fuck you, you're no better than the motherfucking rapist. And if you don't like the swearing that this motherfucker forced from me and reckon it shows moral or intellectual paucity, then fuck you motherfucker. This is language one employs, and one is a little bit pissed at motherfuckers fucking boys, yep.
Figuring out something to do with your anger about the world is probably quite a nice way to keep yourself happy. I'm like everyone. I get angry about certain things I read, and every now and then it comes out in a song. But I think what I encourage people to do, the kids who come and see my shows, is to make sure you have your thought, your reaction, and then try to have a thought about your thought. I think that's the difference between a pitchfork waving society and a measured functional democracy, and the Pope song contains that in it. My initial thing is rage that this massive, wealthy, powerful, pompous, ridiculous institution should be treated as special vis-a-vis the abuse of children. Makes me want to go, fuck them. Then I want to go, okay, what's that rage about? And is it appropriate? Yeah, it probably is. They should be treated like anyone else who has an institution that has mismanaged paedophiles within it.
I like the fury of your language, and you said it earlier, and it's brilliant to put it to a jaunty tune. Now, it is, where did that come from?
Always, musical comedy, if there's a rule, is to make sure you clash form with content. I mean, singing the Pope song with 55-piece orchestra in the Albert Hall going that's perfect. That's his perfect home.
There are other fucking songs and there are other fucking ways. I'll be a religious apologist on other fucking days, but the fact remains, if you protect a single kitty fucker, then Pope or Prince or Plumber, you're a fucking motherfucker, yeah? And I don't give a fuck what any other motherfucker believes about Jesus and his motherfucking mother. I've no problem with the spiritual beliefs of other fuckers, while those beliefs don't impact on the happiness of others. But if you build a church on claims of moral authority and with threats of hell impose it on others in society, then you motherfucker can expect some fucking wrath when it turns out you've been fucking us in our motherfucking asses. Our motherfucking asses.
I'm really interested in the idea of being both visceral in reaction and then cerebral on top of it. And I think there's room for both, but if you have the visceral all the time without the cerebral, then you're contributing to just this wave after wave of outrage which we see in the newspapers every day. I came to this school in 1982 and we went to chapel every morning. Bit of a prayer, bit of a song, bit of a reading. I don't have clear memories of developing my beliefs here in either direction. I just never took to it, you know. I played Mary, the Mother of Jesus, in a nativity play here in 1982, and then in '85, Frank Sheehan came and took over from the old chaplain, and it got a lot more fun.
I knew you were going to do something amazing.
Did you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people did.
What if I didn't do anything? What would
well, I would have been wrong again. With your stuff, people sometimes, you know, if you're having a go at religion or making fun of it and all that sort of way, people say, does it worry you? And I said, no, it doesn't worry me. You know, it never worries me. I never take it personally. I don't think people should. They load a big burden on themselves. You're asking people to expand their vision. Yeah. And the other people, I'm afraid, are just operating out of a very narrow, frightened vision. Yeah. Everyone knows that religion, bad religion, toxic religion, has done terrible damage and is still doing that. Yeah. Why not use the opportunity to learn something, enjoy the songs, and to expand the vision? Yeah. I really, that's how it is for me, and I know it is for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a matter of, I think a lot of people want to be offended.
Yeah.
They enjoy being offended.
I believe that women have the right to walk the streets at night without being afraid for their lives. And I believe a woman has the right to choose what happens to her body without suffering the judgment of the conservative right. And I believe a woman has the right to wear the clothes she likes without being treated like dirt. And I think we men are pathetic, how we seem to use aesthetic as the measure of a woman's worth. I'm ashamed on behalf of my sex for making women feel like objects. Fuck, I love boobs though. I just really love them. Fuck, I love boobs though. I just wanna rub them. They're just so droopy, they make me feel groovy. I would rather watch boobs than a movie. Be-doop, be-doop, doop, doo-doo-doo. I just really love boobs.
I think the West End, to me, just like Broadway, sort of sat in a world that was entirely beyond the world that I lived in. When I first came here as a 10-year-old and saw Starlight Express and Cats, it was all just too big to get my head around, and I loved it. But at no point subsequent to that did I think, one day I'll be able to do that.
When we were looking, myself and the RSC, I went to see his one-man show. And I thought, do you know, this is tantalising because I think it's a near miss because I haven't cried yet. Whoever writes Matilda is going to have to make the audience cry. And he came back on for an encore at the end, sat down at the piano and played his song, White Wine in the Sun. The whole theatre went silent and everybody cried.
Really like Christmas. It's sentimental, I know, but I just really like it.
You sort of almost apologise for it. White wine in the sun at the end, don't you?
There is a through line in my stuff about trying to show the beauty of a life unfettered by a superstition and sort of notions of spirituality and stuff, and so if you take the spirituality out of Christmas, what are you left with? And I try to make sure musically and lyrically I express something that is beautiful in the absence of those things.
I'm looking forward to Christmas, though I'm not expecting a visit from Jesus. I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun.
And then it turns a corner and becomes very much about my baby daughter. I wrote the song when she was 3 weeks old, and I had this almost animal craving to take her back to her people.
And you, my baby girl, my jet-lagged infant daughter, you'll be handed round the room like a puppy at a primary school. And you won't understand, but you will learn someday that wherever you are and whatever you face, these are the people who make you feel safe in this world. My sweet blue-eyed girl.
Now, what are you going to do? I mean, it's been rocket-assisted takeoff, hasn't it, for the last few years? Where is it pointed now?
Where's my rocket pointed? Melbourne.
Well, you said that. I declined to say that.
I'm genuinely the luckiest. I have everything that I could possibly have wanted is available to me in a way. I have opportunities to act and to write and to play and to make jokes, and I even have the opportunity to take a holiday. I could stop for a bit, probably. It's a horrible notion. I just want to do more of the same.
Well, thanks very much. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
It's a huge pleasure. Thank you.
Drinking white wine in the sun, darling, whenever you come, we'll be waiting for you in the sun. Drinking white wine in the sun.